Welcome to another edition of Carnivore Bites. I'm your host, Jeff Sherman, along with the esteemed Dr. Eric Lopkin. And I'll let you kick it off, Dr. Lopkin, and the what's going on with the transition team with President-elect Biden.
Yeah, this was very interesting. Names of the transition team have started to come out, and one of those names is Cecilia Munoz. And not exactly a household name, but Cecilia Munoz was head of immigration under the Obama administration. Now, what that means to everybody, in the public is this is the woman that implemented the policies that separated kids from their parents, that set up those cages that everybody went nuts when they saw the photos, when they thought Trump was doing it. So I think, one, it's setting up a bigger civil war because the progressives in the Democratic Party are going crazy over this. How dare he appoint her?
Okay, well, let me interject something. How dumb can you be? I'm sure Mr. Biden's not the one that's pulling any of these strings, but whoever made the decision, that's exactly the exact opposite of what you'd want to do. Hello?
Yes. And, it showcases the hypocrisy of the Democrats. Because, remember, nobody made a big deal about the policy when Obama was doing it. When they thought it was all Trump's idea, they went nuts. Now they're bringing back the woman that did it in the first place.
Yes, totally ridiculous. I would agree with that 100%.
I mean, it shows how out of touch the Democrats really are, and it's already started to inflame the left part of the party. It's just going to aggravate the situation more. I honestly think we're looking at almost, I hesitate to use the word civil war within the party, but I think you're seeing exactly what happened to the Republicans with the Tea Party.
Yeah, I think you have a very good point. And I think as things progress, let's fast forward. It's 4 years is a long time, 3 years. Could it be that maybe the Republicans come out on top because, I just don't see, I'm really not playing partisan politics. I don't see the Biden administration being successful. I consider it Jimmy Carter deja vu all over again on steroids. Could it be that the Republicans take back the House, enhance the Senate, and are now in a position to have a president that has the policies like Trump without the idiosyncrasies?
It's very possible. I've heard from a number of Democrats that none of them expect Biden to be a two-term president, which I find interesting. But you're seeing the parallels right now from when Obama won. So if you remember, 2 years into the Obama administration, the Republicans did surge and took both the House and the Senate. They haven't given the Senate up yet, but I think in 2 years you're going to see them take the House back again.
I would agree
and
with
I
that.
think one of the reasons that you're going to see this is that the fighting is getting so harsh between the centrist part of the Democratic Party and the left part of the Democratic Party. It will not surprise me for them to be primarying each other in 2 years and actually doing more damage to each other than the Republicans will in the general.
I could not argue with that at all. Yeah, very interesting also in terms of switching gears a little bit. The coronavirus seems to be really top of mind. I mean, states like Connecticut and others that were doing well are now heating up again. What's your take on that, Dr. Lopkin?
Well, we always expected COVID to heat up again at this point in the year, because as we go into flu season, this is the weather that the virus actually thrives in. So it's not a surprise that we're seeing a lot more cases. What's really important, though, is that despite the fact that the number of cases are going up, and the number of hospitalizations are going up, the number of deaths isn't. So at its peak, COVID had a morbidity rate of 0.6%. That means you had the average person had morbidity rate is, it had a 0.6% of somebody getting the virus and it becoming fatal. Now it's dropping even below that. So even though we're seeing more cases, they're not as severe as they were. And we have 2 treatments for them. There's one treatment that's been approved for emergency use if you catch it early on. And then there's a second treatment that's been approved for general use if it gets severe. So we actually have treatments now. It's not as severe as it was earlier on.
And then the vaccine looks like it's coming somewhat on board.
Yeah,
was that timing to wait for after the election? I think maybe yes.
I doubt it. The process to do a clinical trial is very time consuming and very specific. There's certain things that have to be done. I don't think they held back for the election. And quite frankly, given the stock market results, the days of each company releasing the information. Right now, there's 2 vaccines, one by Moderna and one by Pfizer. And both of these vaccines are being done in conjunction with international companies. So the idea that they would hold back, especially given the stock boosts that both companies got, I think it's unlikely. I think there was no way they could get the information cleared in time to announce it before the elections.
Fair enough. Now, closing on the election, Trump's still not conceding. Where do you see this going?
Well, he's got his legal challenges, and people are acting like this is abnormal. The fact of the matter is, there are legal challenges in virtually every presidential election.
Yes.
These just made a lot more news. He has said it looks like Joe Biden is going to be president. He hasn't officially conceded. And quite frankly, he shouldn't until the court cases finish in the court system. This is a standard procedure. People are making a big deal that he hasn't started the transition phase yet. But long-term political watchers pointed out on a number of newscasts that the Bush-Gore transition from Clinton to Bush didn't start until mid-December, and it still went very smoothly. There's really no problem with the transition waiting a few more weeks. I
agree with that. Does it hurt Trump's legacy putting up such a non-conciliatory framework?
I don't think it hurts his legacy. I think the mainstream media is going to move very quickly to eliminate his legacy, as will the Biden administration. Trump's supporters are in favor of these court battles because the fact of the matter is you don't see numbers like this. You don't see amounts of fraud that went on a regular basis. And quite frankly, there were so many violations of poll watchers being thrown out, a shift in the numbers on election day, discrepancies in numbers of absentee and mail-in ballots. It should go through the courts. Now, even if all of the fraud is proven, at this point, I don't think the Supreme Court will actually be able to remove enough votes to overturn the election. So I'm pretty certain in saying, yes, Biden is the president-elect, and he's got his term coming up.
I would agree with that.
This is the process, and we do need to let it finish out.
Agreed, and let's conclude on that, and we'll be back on Friday at 4 o'clock, and our listeners can join in for our live show.
Yep, you can listen live at blogtalkradio.com/Carnivore Radio, and we'll give the phone number out on the broadcast for you to join in the conversation.
Thank you, Dr. Lopkin, and thank our listeners for tuning in.
See you Friday.
You've been listening to Carnivore Bites, part of the Exvadio Podcast Network. You can catch us every week on carnivoreradio.com, exvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcast Store, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you find podcasts.